Mine is to thank you. This is my hometown. I'm on secondment. At the right time, I will come. May God bless you. And we were basically selling fuel. So at one time, Kinyanjui was my customer, one of our biggest customers, and we are happy that maybe 26 years later, River is here. This is not an invitation for you to ask, what have I been doing? You know what he was doing? Even me, I was doing something. That's something, you know, we also build the nation in different ways. But I'm very happy and proud when I see what Kinyanjui has done. Maybe just one thing I've learned from Peter, together with his family. In my community, we say, if you do one thing many times, you are bound to succeed. So I have known Kinyanjui as Jeroa River. Jero of. I have not had him in the matatu business, in the furniture business, in the hotel business. I have only known him for. So some of us went to Quail. We did avocado, we did pyrethrum, and here we are. But I really want to say persistence is very important in business, because sometimes we tend to quit just when the lessons have been learned and you're ready to transition to the other level. And I think the lessons of River are also quite commensurate with other big companies that we have known from here in Nakuru. Noting that Naivas started here. I'm also told Quickmart, Tuskies, all those big companies started here. So Sakaja, as they start here, your responsibility is to make sure they progress even when they come to Nairobi. Because we believe Nakuru has the best startup environment. And I know many others that are also here starting and moving very far. So again, really thank you. Allow me also to recognize KCB through the great leadership of Russo, and also to say that no country and no business can exist without a good bank. And thank you, KCB, for not only being the bank of the nation, but being the bank for our corporates. And today, you are not telling us stories around your products, you are showing us an example of the success. So I think I really want to thank you. And KCB, I also want, because my other job is also to help Kenyans, especially to do business outside Kenya. When I go to all these countries, Tanzania, and I see KCB, I know this is Kenya, wherever we go. So again, a big thank you for the good leadership you have continued to show. For telling your story, I know many of us, when we make it, we just say, it is God. And yes, it is God, but it is a story, isn't it? And our young people here, they need to hear the story. And this goes out really to our entrepreneurs. If you have young people who just see us in big cars and don't know the story, how long it took. And I also like what we had on the video, because your daughter said it's not just about inheritance. You can inherit anything, but likewise, it can go down the drain if there's no hard work. So the story of business, lessons you have learned along the way, downtimes and when things were working, I think it's a story that we need also to teach in our business schools, so that, and we are not in any way downplaying the role of God, but also when you tell a young person it is God, you have only left him to go and pray. But you know, beyond praying, there is something else they need to do. And this mentorship can help us to create the next generation of business people. I'm also very proud to see your involvement of your family. The truth is, even if you look at the Shell brand and many others, you cannot create a brand overnight, not even in one generation. So most of the biggest brands we see in the world are multi-generational. So if you want to have a brand that will outlast you, a business that will outlast you, then you need to get the people around you, your family, to come around. And I think I agree with the CEO for Vivo. It's not always easy because they too have their plans. But the reality is for us, because we don't want all the good work we have done when we are not around or we are indisposed, all that comes to an end. And we have had situations where we start calling our children when we are on dialysis, when we can no longer work and those things. So they have no opportunity to learn how you made your decisions, how you overcame certain challenges. So I think I really want to say a big thank you for that family support, that mentoring of your family, and also to confirm that one of the biggest challenges facing African enterprises is that they last for as long as the founder is there. When the founder goes, the company also goes. And I think this is really something we need to work on, because there are top brands that were here 10 years ago, and suddenly they disappear. Then you ask and you are told the owner is unwell or is indisposed. This is not a journey that we would want, because we would want some of our brands to go beyond Kenya, to go across. And it is for that reason, working with our Capital Markets Authority, we are also encouraging companies to be listed, so that when it reaches that time when you would want to offload a part of it, half of it, all of it, you can offload. And in 100 years, it will be the next Shell, the next Vivo, and so on. So I think that's a journey we would want to encourage, especially because we believe Kenya is on a growth trajectory, especially in the coming years. And the engine of growth is normally the family-run businesses that transition to corporates. My duty also is in value addition, and I'm happy that working with Vivo, they do much of the blending in Mombasa, and we've had significant talks around how we can expand production and blending, and also to note that some of the things happening in the country today will completely transform how we operate. So when you hear oil coming from Turkana, it means we are likely to start getting base oil for our lubricants right from here in Kenya. We are likely to start getting bitumen for our roads right from here in Kenya. And you need to know that our biggest import bill as a country is actually petroleum. So if you're able to reduce that even by 20% or 30%, I want to tell you the shilling to the dollar will be less than 100, because that is our biggest liability every month. So there are certain things that are happening. Many have not seen maturity, but I want to assure you, working with the right partners and also having a long-term view. Economic solutions are not found overnight. There are no quick fixes in the economy. If you have an energy problem, the G2G may have challenges, had challenges in the first 1 year or so, but in the fullness of time, it has proved to be the most resilient system. And I want to inform you that most of the countries in our neighboring region have actually copied what Kenya did. You will remember that during this energy crisis, the shilling retained its 128, 129 value in spite of the energy crisis across the whole world. This is not the case with most of the African countries. Some lost value up to 20, 30%. So I think the point you're just trying to make is that quick solutions don't solve long-term problems. So in our healthcare, there are things we are trying to do. They may not have seen full maturity, but eventually we will be there. Allow me also to mention a few developments that are also coming up in this area that will affect all of us. I'm sure this big corridor from Mau Summit, Rironi to Mau Summit, is a project of major interest to the people of Nakuru. You, ambaye unatoka hapa Kiamunyi, hapa Nakuru, you must have a long-term view of your country. If visitors and strangers can come and invest, even Vivo and all these companies you're seeing here, they're not looking at Kenya in the next 1 year or 6 months. They are looking at Kenya in the long run. And that's how we can be able to change our perspective. So for myself, I want to say that this road is not an infrastructure project. This is a trade corridor. We are going to see that if those of you who know Turkana, in relation to these other parts, they have to go through Nakuru. So as we connect this road, expect major traffic, expect major business. And this is going to be very transformational. So for the business people in Nakuru, many of whom are known to me, government will invest in the infrastructure, but the final business connection must come from you. And I want to encourage you. You must see the opportunities before they are seen by outsiders. Just last week, we are negotiating around the plan for how Kenya will allow the importation of electric vehicles, and the president has given a duty-free waiver for 100,000 vehicles. So my question to you, the people of Nakuru, where will those vehicles charge? Nobody will come to Nakuru if you can't charge. So these are opportunities we need to work. These are huge opportunities. We are also saying we don't want all these vehicles to be necessarily imported. We want them to be assembled in Kenya. Another big opportunity for people who want to invest in that sector. So in short, I want to say that the country's investment climate is right. The opportunity is now. And I think for myself, especially because I've come from Nakuru, and I know what Nakuru means to me, I will always put Nakuru first, even when you make those big decisions that are likely to have a big impact in our country. Lastly, again, allow me, politicians have many lastlies, but just to tell you, there are some certain policy realignments we have done that have had a major impact on how Kenya is perceived. The president was in the G7. G7 is the biggest 7 nations in the world. So there had to be one country from Africa. Which was that country? Kenya. That alone has opened doors in France, in Norway, all those countries, and they would want to do business with us. And this means a lot even for those of you who are in tourism. We are likely to see more interest in our country, and I think all we need to do is to be business ready so that we can work together. Again, you'll remember 2 months ago, we had the French Africa Summit. Are you aware we don't speak French? Are you aware we are not Anglophone? We are not Francophone. We are what? So why were they all coming here? So we have certain very positive indicators. And I really want to urge you to have a long-term perspective around our country, because big doors have been opened. We have signed a trade agreement with China, a population of 1.4 billion people, and our avocado, our tea, our coffee, and our flowers can now be able to plug into that economy. Then you will recall that the president also waived visa for persons from within the African continent. It's not good to compare, but you're aware there are other parts where Africans don't necessarily feel welcome. So Kenya is that unique place where anybody from Egypt, South Africa, Nigeria, you have excess capital, or you would want to invest, you don't need to wonder where to go, or whether you'll have a visa, or whether you'll be kicked out tomorrow. As a result of that, in Governor Sakaja's county, about half of the housing that we are selling is actually to foreigners. So a simple thing that has completely transformed how we look. And it is for that reason that even under very extreme pressure, our shilling has remained strong. And I think we need to keep this conversation, have a long-term view of our country, and work together for the good of all of us. I don't want to say much. Mine is to thank you. This is my hometown. I'm on secondment. At the right time, I will come. May God bless you.
Thank you to our Cabinet Secretary for Investments, Trade and Industry. And yes, another term that I have heard, people do say, ni God, it is God, ni God maze. And also many from, especially from where my wife comes from, Muranga, you'll hear, no kogeria meni, kujaribu tu. However, engineer and director Dorcas, director Wawera, and director Wangoi have been very deliberate about acknowledging those who've been part of the journey.